Welcome, everybody. This is our newest episode of Keys to the Market. Today, joining me is Miss Alicia Lovette. Lovette, right? Did I say it right?
Love it. It's like
Okay, great. It's Alicia Lovette, and she is based out of Sandy Springs, Georgia, which, if you don't know, that's actually very close to Atlanta, Georgia. So I'm assuming she works that area as well, and we'll talk about that. But Alicia, you want to introduce yourself to the people?
absolutely. Hi, everybody. Like she said, my name is Alicia Lovette. I am a realtor. I do service Atlanta and all the metro area and surrounding areas. I've been a realtor for 6 years now. I was trying,
Nice.
and I love it. I truly do. It is a very true passion of mine. So,
Awesome. How long have you been in Georgia? Because I believe you're from New York originally.
yes, yes. So I've been in Georgia about 8 years now.
How you like it?
It's changed a lot since I've come here, and it changed so quickly.
It did.
Is kind of crazy. The pandemic accelerated that change crazy. So it was mind blowing to see like it's still morphing into what Atlanta is going to be. I tell everybody like Atlanta is not Atlanta yet. Like
Right. It's getting there.
it,
It's definitely getting there for sure.
yeah, yeah.
So, all right. Sandy Springs. I know a little bit about Atlanta because my
Okay.
brother lives there. So I know all these there. He names them and I'm like, boy, you act like I'm there with you. I don't know. Where would I be if I'm at Sandy Springs? Where is that in relationship to Atlanta?
So Sandy Springs is like northeast of Atlanta. So it's probably like 15, 20 minutes without traffic
Okay,
from
yeah.
downtown. It's about an exit
Disclaimer.
up from Buckhead. So it's not too far out, but it's definitely far enough where you're out of the hustle and bustle. So I like it.
Understood. So
Mm.
when you're looking at cities in the Atlanta metro area, which ones would you consider to be the newer cities and which ones are the ones that are well established at this point?
So when it comes to Atlanta, because of all of the changes and upgrades and things that are being done, it like I said, it's just forever changing. Nothing's really what it is yet. But I would say like the areas that are most like up and coming would be like your Decatur's, your East Points, around the Camp Creek area. Um, those would probably be the most like areas that's being like gentrified. Like they're all established, but they are definitely being developed more in those types of areas.
Okay, perfect. So you guys are seeing a real good mix of the old and the new, is what it sounds like.
Yes, yes. There's a lot of restoration and new developments happening here in Atlanta all the time. And that's apartments and businesses and new homes. It's crazy.
All right. So I'm going to ask you because you've been there for a while now, so you can answer this question with confidence. I'm coming
Ooh,
to Atlanta to visit. Where am I going to go to grab something to eat real quick that I'm going
oh,
to
I know this.
remember when I leave?
So, okay, because Atlanta has a crazy food scene. I feel like there's a new restaurant popping up every day. That's definitely one of the business types that's booming here in Atlanta. One of my favorites is Toast. So it's a brunch place like in the Buckhead area. So it's called Toast on Lennox. I love their breakfast food. Definitely a must. Now it's a popular staple in Atlanta right now. So you have to either make a reservation or go super early because there's always a wait, there's always a line, and it's just crazy. So yeah, I love toast. There's a few others. It just depends on what you're looking for. I like Bar Taco too, is another little neighborhood spot that I frequent often. They have like the best margaritas, I think, in town. I probably get a lot of pushback on that, but I said what I said. Mhm.
Hey, that's your opinion, Mama. You say it. All right. So we'll get into just generally what's going on in Atlanta. Do you have any active listings right now that you want to tell the readers, the watch the people watching about?
So no active listings right now. I'm working primarily with buyers in this market. I want to focus on because especially in a place like Atlanta, there's a lot of and it actually was on the news the other day. Like there are like two or three big companies that own the majority of the houses in Atlanta, and it makes that barrier to entry for home ownership that much harder because that's less inventory and it's forcing people to rent because it's just so expensive to buy. And especially for our community, that's where a lot of my passion comes from, is like educating our people about the home buying process, letting them know the different ways that they can get into it. I run into a lot of people where it's like credit issues and don't have money for down payment and things like that. So being able to provide those resources and get them in places where they can buy. So because it's only going to get worse. Everybody's like, oh, I'll buy when the rates come down, or I'll buy when I have a little bit more money saved or whatever. And it's just like, when you can buy, just go ahead and buy. Like,
Yeah.
it's not going to get any better than what it is right now in this moment.
Absolutely. Right about that for sure. Is that what made you create the First Time Home Buyer Academy? Because I did see that. And that looks like a very well put together group. I commend you on it. I commend you on, girl, when I say I gotta step my game up, because I was looking at your buyer workshop like, this girl got mimosas. Like, what are we doing here? What am I missing?
Absolutely. So like I'm a big advocate for education. Like you only know like what you know. So the more you know, the better position it puts you in to be able to make an educated and informed decision. So even if we never work together or I'm not your agent, I still want you to be prepared and know what you're getting into. Because if you, like I said, you don't know, you don't know. And that's the biggest part, like knowing. So yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. What would you say at this point? Because like you said, the landscape of real estate in that general area has changed completely from what we knew it to be at one point. What's the
Mhm.
biggest misconception that you're still running into in relationship to buyers and the market in Atlanta? Because these folks really out here thinking you can go to Atlanta and buy a 5 bedroom, 4,000 square foot house for $250,000. Is that still the case?
Now, if you about an hour or two out from Atlanta, maybe you can find something like that. But no, that's not realistically. And a lot of people also think like buying foreclosures is like, super easy to do. Like, oh, I just dealing about auctions and buying foreclosures and da 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 da. It's just like that is a road less traveled for a reason.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as it sounds. Like, yes, it's amazing to be able to find a house at a discounted rate, but it's not a simple thing to do. So it's best, you don't have to necessarily buy traditionally. Like, you don't have to buy something that's on the market. You
True.
can do like a for sale by owner. You can find a property by looking at it, and if it's like grass growing all over, boarded up or whatever, like if you want to find a property like that, you can do that too. Again, it's a lot more difficult, but you'll have less competition than at an auction or buying foreclosure, and it'll be more affordable that way. But that's a big misconception, like thinking you can go in and buy a foreclosure. It's not going to happen.
Oh yeah, for sure. I get that a lot, and it it breaks your heart to be the bearer of the bad news, but
Yeah.
that's what we're here for. Like, we don't want to put you in a position where it does not make sense for you. But I think a
Mhm.
lot of buyers don't understand, for every foreclosure, there's already 500 investors with cash lined up. So,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, a lot, even though homes are in foreclosure now, a lot of these homes that are in foreclosure still have equity. So they
Mhm.
still are trying to get top dollar for these homes, even if they go into that situation, which is why we're not seeing as many short sales right now as we
Yep.
were a couple years ago. Like, the amount of equity that people have gained in the last, I'm gonna say, 4 to 5 years versus, I'm not gonna say olden times, but once before, that has
Yeah.
changed. Like, we're still seeing appreciation.
Oh yeah.
I always say this: the only people that want the market to crash are buyers. Sellers don't want that, because
No.
that's not what a homeowner wants, is for the value in their home to just suddenly be half of what it was when they bought the house. So there's
Ooh.
a a battle going on there. And trust me, my heart goes out to the buyers out there in the world. I was one of you just a couple years ago. So I know the pain that you're talking about. But
Mhm.
like I said, it takes more of us to get in a space of actually, like you said, educating people and making sure that they understand your position has to be at a certain point when we start talking about foreclosures. That's just, it's a different ball game now than it once was.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, like you said, there the inventory is being gobbled up by the big box rental companies, as we like to call them. Are you an
Mm-hmm.
advocate for lease to own options?
Yes and no. And I will say, I got mixed feelings about rent to own lease options because it is a good way if that's like your only option, because it is an option and it works for some people. But I would say if you can buy, just buy. Lease to own is expensive. Like a lot of people don't understand. Like you think you're just going to go in, it's like a regular rental situation. It's not. You're paying fees for the program because they're not going to just do it for free, like to give you that option. So you're going to pay fees, you're going to pay higher rent. Divvy is a big one down here, and I did probably like one transaction with Divvy, and it just it's so expensive. It's so
Mm-hmm.
expensive, and I would say if you can buy, just buy. If you have to do a lease to own, it's available, but you're not saving any money. You're really doing yourself a disservice because that year that you're in that house or whatever your lease term is, you're losing out on that equity. Like you don't get anything from that you don't own that house. So it's just like take advantage of it if you have to, but if you don't have to, let's get you in a position to buy.
Absolutely. And that, again, that's one of those other misconceptions, is that it's easier to get into a lease to own. In certain cases, it can be, but generally speaking, even the credit requirements are just as
Mm-hmm.
high to do a lease to own program than it is to just go out and get an FHA loan. So,
Exactly.
that's again, that if you got a great realtor like Alicia working with you, then she can absolutely get you in the position of listing. That's an option. Now let's see if we can veer you off to where you actually want to be, which is actually home ownership. So I kind of feel you on that, because I definitely have my advantages and my disadvantages, because I've seen it work
Right.
and I've seen it also
Yeah.
not work.
Right.
So being that I've now been able to see both sides of the fence on that one, my main thing is, from the agent side, is looking out for, and which I'm saying this on video, but it may come back to bite me later. Um, I keep my buyer, or I keep my clients up to date if they're going that route on the process of rent to own, because it is so fun. Because these rent to own companies, they're investors at the end of the day. That's what
Yeah.
they are. They're trying to flip a house. They're just trying to flip it with a body in it. Um, and oh my goodness, when you got people saying, "Hey, I'm pre-approved by the lease to own company for up to 300,000." We go look for a $300,000 house, and then that company says, "Well, we'll offer 200." Like, do
Yep.
you know what market we're in right now? And it becomes frustrating. So
Yes. That
I'm like,
too.
this ain't time, nor is the place for that right now, because these companies are not looking out for you. They're looking out for themselves and their pockets. So
Yeah.
that's a whole nother conversation. I want to get a bunch of realtors on for that one, because I'm sure everybody's got a story about how they absolutely love unnamed companies, which we're not gonna name in this video because we're gonna name it in that one when it comes to lease to own. So we'll get off that soapbox for now. In your general area, what builders do you guys have up there? So like here we have Pulte, we have DR Horton, we have Lennar, we have Ashton Woods. We've got pretty much all of them. Do you guys have all of the builders there, or are there only certain ones that are in the Atlanta market right now?
D.R. Horton is big. We have Lennar. There's like I said, Atlanta is in its like production phase. So if there's a builder out there, they're probably probably here trying to get a piece of the pie. So I don't necessarily work with new builds often, so that's not my area of expertise. I don't want to, misspeak, but I do see them. Obviously, I'm familiar with them, but they're definitely here. Most of the big ones that I've
Well, that's
seen.
good to know. You do have options, so that's a good thing for sure. What
Oh
about
yeah.
I haven't been to Atlanta in a while. and when I was there, it was mostly apartments that I dealt with. And that was just from being there for maybe 6 months. I think that's how long we spent in that area. Tucker, Georgia, actually, to be
Okay.
exact, is where we were. Um, what are we looking at? What am I going to buy when I come to that area? Am I going to find a single family home, or do I have to kind of pivot and consider a townhouse or a condo, or do I have options for either one of those?
It's going to depend on your budget. Because you definitely could do, we have it all. We definitely do have it all, but it's going to depend on the budget that you have. The further out you go, the more affordable it will be. And you'll have more space if you wanted to like single family. You're closer in the city, there's going to be a lot more townhomes and condos and things like that that are available. But they are pricey. Yeah, the market in Atlanta is wild. I think on average homes are about 350 plus, which is crazy because when I first got here, homes were like 200 was the average like price you can get for a home. So it's already almost double in a matter of like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So I would say definitely be realistic. A lot of people want their dream home first. Like when they move into the house, they want, the white picket fence with the backyard and all the
You don't want
things.
to move again. That's what everybody says on the first house.
It's so crazy because people don't realize like the average time somebody stays in their first home is only about 7 years. People don't know that stat. So it's just like when you think about buying homes, and I think it's like a mindset thing, right? It's just like, well, I never even thought I could buy a home. Like now you're
Mm-hmm.
telling me like I'm gonna buy multiple homes. Like this is not gonna be my last time doing this. Like,
Oh,
no, this is it. I'm it. This is done after this. So it's just like, no, realistically, life happens. It may not be that you want to move, but maybe, you get a job in another city, or you have a family, so now you need more space, or things happen and people don't think about that. And they, sometimes will try to make their current house work, but realistically, it's probably not going to be what you need 10, 15 years down the line. So don't get so wrapped
absolutely.
up in I want all of the things that I want the first time.
Oh no, no, for sure, absolutely. I was like, and I think it may have to do with the fact that we are becoming homeowners later in life. So we get to the point where like you're 30, 35, 40 in my case, and you're like, I'm not doing this again, picking up and moving. But realistically, we're like, okay, at some point, all these children are gonna be out of the house. We're not gonna need all this space. We're
Mhm.
gonna want to travel. We want to start,
Mhm.
investing in properties ourselves. This could be the very first one that becomes a rental. Not my ideal choice, but just things like you said, until you get in your home, that's when things started like, wait a minute, I said I didn't want this. I'm gonna get it now. Okay, fine. So it's fun. I will say this: the last year and a half of my life in home ownership has been fun because we were those renters that were like, I'm not putting a picture on the wall because this ain't my house. And then I get my house and still ain't putting no pictures on the wall. Like it's crazy. Trying to figure this out right now. So perfect,
Oh,
perfect. What kind of trends are we seeing in the market right now? Are you seeing, well, it seems like you're working more with buyers. So are you seeing more
yes.
first time buyers or just a lot of people relocating to Atlanta? Like what kind of buyers are you working with right now?
So I prefer first time home buyers just because it's so rewarding to me just to have that experience. And I like to make it special. It breaks my heart sometimes. I see like people like, oh, my realtor, I picked my own house and I barely talked to them. They showed up to the closing. There was no like gift or anything. It was just like, okay, done. And I'm just like, and I get some people, especially if you're like familiar with the process or if you're an investor, like you don't want all the frills, right? But if this
Right,
is like your first time doing something and it's such a big major accomplishment, you want to feel special. You want to feel like the person that's your partner in this journey is on this journey with you, like
right,
actually there for you and answering your questions and making you feel comfortable and holding your hand basically throughout because it can be scary. This is like I said, a big life changing process that you're going through into home ownership, and just having those moments with my clients is just so special to me. Like, yeah, I work with investors and stuff like that before, and it's fine. Like, I work with everybody, but nothing makes me happier than working with first time home buyers and doing it with them. So that's kind of been like my thing. That's where I focus on, and that's who I work with mostly.
Oh, good deal. So I'm gonna ask this question because I'm nosy. What's the youngest buyer you've worked with so far?
Oh, youngest, I want to say she was about 25,
Nice.
was my youngest. That was my youngest. And I work with a lot of like women too, like
Really?
single women, single mothers. Like that's been like a big demographic, and I love that for us because it's just like, back in the days, like you want to wait till you get married and you buy the house together. We like, nah,
Hmm.
go ahead
Hmm.
and buy my house. I ain't
Hmm.
waiting
I'm gonna
on
buy
nobody.
this house now, and then we gonna buy that house together. That's the plan. We're
Exactly.
shifting the mindset. That's what we're doing right now.
Yes. Yes. And that I love it. And I think something else just came out recently where it's just like women are the biggest demographic for homeowners in
Yep.
general. And it's like, I love it. I so love that for us.
Yes, absolutely. I'm with it because I think, and again, I could be speaking out of turn. I maybe not, but I think we get to a point where we just want something for us. You know what I mean? As women,
Mm-hmm.
and what better thing to say than I did that, on my
Yes.
own. And
Yeah.
then and that's you also, because generally speaking, like you said, we're talking single moms at, 25, 26, maybe one child, maybe more, who knows? But
Mm-hmm.
you're showing them, that whole thing about breaking generational curses, like that's a
Ooh,
real thing for us
yes.
in our community, that we feel like that's the load that's on our back is for us to do it. So what better way to do it than to do that, than to have something, a deed? I mean,
Mm.
whether it's with a mortgage attached to it or not, it's just something different about being able to walk through your front door and walk into that house and say, you know what, this is mine. I'm my own landlord, is what I like to call it. Let me do that
Mm-hmm.
for me. Let me do that for my children. So I commend any single
Mm-hmm.
mom, any single female, any single male, any single person that makes that jump and says, you know what, I'm going to do something for me so that I can walk into that when I get married. If I do, so choose to get married, I can
Right.
walk in with a little, a little dirt on my shoulder or whatever. So I'm proud of every single one, your, clients that you're working with, mine that I'm working with, everybody, anybody that makes that jump. That's a leap of faith. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. Because some days, all the problems are your own, but they're yours. And that's the major thing that I'm seeing. So I think we pretty much touched on everything we wanted to touch on today. Do you have any upcoming events in Atlanta that you want to tell the people about?
Actually, this year has been crazy. I started my master's degree program
Okay.
in December. So I have been so busy, but I'm trying to manage and juggle all things. I do want to do an event. I wanted to do an event like around this time, tax time, because that's
Mhm.
also a big thing. When we get
Yes.
our tax money, we run to the mall and we run to Best Buy and get them TVs. And it's just
Right.
like, hold up, wait, let me talk to you.
Right.
Let's try to do a little something different this year, so I do want to do something probably next month. I don't want to make it too last minute because I'm a
Mhm.
last minute queen. Like I'll throw an event
Listen.
together so quick. So hopefully by next month, I don't know what it'll be just yet. If I want to do like a client appreciation kind of thing, past, present, and future kind of something, or if I want to stick to like the educational things. I haven't put it together yet, but it's coming. So if you
That's
if you
okay.
don't already, follow me on social media. All things great will be there. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Alicia sold it on Instagram and TikTok, and Alicia Lovette, Realtor on Facebook.
Awesome, awesome. And you want to go to her events because she puts on a good show. I
I
am
do.
not
I
one
do.
to listen. I ain't even there, and I felt like, okay, I got some stepping up to do. For
Yes,
sure, but I
listen.
love it. I
Yes.
love it. Well, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Again, this is Miss Alicia Lovett. She is in the Sandy Springs, Atlanta, Georgia area. If you're looking for an agent that way, she's your girl. If you're looking for an agent out in Arizona, talk to me, Ayana Hawkins with Simple Realty. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye.